The Girona. The Spanish Armada finally came unstuck, not in the English Channel, not at the Battle of Gravelines, nor under the guns of the English fleet. It foundered due to the storms of the North Atlantic and the rocky coasts of Scotland and Ireland. One of the ships that met its watery grave was the Girona. The Girona was a 50-gun galleas holding bronze and iron cannon. The Girona was named after the Girona's family, who at the time had just become Dukes of Osuna and Viceroys of Naples. A galleas was often a large merchant galley that had been altered for a more military role. It was meant to combine the firepower of a galleon whilst having the sailing ability of a galley. A typical galleas was higher than a normal galley with stern castle and forecastle, considerably higher than the main deck. The galley had 3 sets of masts, but also up to 32 oars, each one needing 5 men to operate it. It was often designed so the gun deck, sometimes containing up to 50 cannon, was above the rower's head. It would be impossible to describe the noise, heat, and claustrophobic atmosphere the rowers would have to endure. Along with this considerable firepower, the galleas of the Armada would have also had approximately 300 soldiers and sailors, a real danger if an English ship had been grappled by one. By the time of its sinking, the Girona had a complement of 1,300 soldiers, sailors and officers. It was commanded by Alonso Martin de Leyva, Knight of the Order of Santiago. De Leyva had been given the secret charge of taking over command of the Armada should anything happen to the Duke of Medina Sidonia. De Leyva was a young and brave noble, and the favourite of Philip II. Philip II was devastated by this loss. It was reported that the whole of Spain went into mourning to honour him. After the fireships of Calais and the ensuing Battle of Gravelines, the Spanish Armada were chased up the North Sea. The English fleet, having exhausted all their powder and shot, had to turn back to resupply and leave the Spanish to their own devices. The Spanish were in a ragged state, as they had been in a running battle all the way through the Channel, constantly bombarded by powerful English guns with very little ability to fire back. Not wanting to turn about, and probably unable to due to the wind direction, the Spanish decided to go around Scotland and head back to Spain. However, the Spanish had very few charts on the coast of Scotland, the Western Isles and Ireland. In fact, many ships had maps which did not include the British Isles at all. They did not know exactly where they were, and on top of struggling with battle damage, casualties and lack of water, they had to face the distressing vision of forcing horses and mules overboard to lighten ships and to save drinking water. It was then that the Atlantic storms hit. The tempest smashed into the Armada. Chaos and carnage rapidly ensued. Despite the hammering the Girona took from wind and waves, she managed to limp into Killybegs harbour to do some desperately needed repairs to her rudder. With the help of an Irish chieftain, McSweeney Banar, she made repairs. De Leyva, it seemed, had changed his mind and decided to sail back for Scotland on the 28th of October. De Leyva had gathered together the crew of 3 wrecked Armada ships on board, totalling 1,300 men. They cleared Loch Foyle, and even with Atlantic gales still battering at them, they attempted to complete the journey. On the way, the still battle-damaged and unseaworthy galleas foundered and sank. De Leyva, along with most of the crew, drowned at Lacada Point. This is now called the Spanish Rocks. Of the estimated 1,300 souls on board, there were 9 survivors. 260 bodies washed ashore and were buried in a common grave at the local churchyard. The fortunate few survivors who had managed to survive battle, storm and shipwreck were sent on to Scotland by the local clan leader, Sorley Boy MacDonald. MacDonald, it is believed, also attempted the first clandestine salvage efforts on the shipwreck. The few men who had survived were more lucky than their comrades in many other ships, especially the Trinidad Valenciera. There is a video coming soon on the grisly massacres that took place. In 1967 to 68, Robert Stenuart salvaged the greatest Armada treasure ever found. In this haul there was a huge selection of gold, silver and jewel-encrusted objects. These objects included a huge gold chain, which would go around someone's neck several times, gold coins and a gold salamander. The gold of the salamander came from South America, and the rubies from Borneo. The sheer scale of the treasure from this one ship tells us that the Armada was not just briefed to transport an army, but to transport the nobility of Spain, and their households as well. The treasure also shows the wealth and the reach of the Spanish Empire at this time. The memory of the Girona and the men who were lost are still commemorated to this day. In fact, the events of the 26th of October 1588 are still remembered, and in particular on the back of the Northern Irish £10 note.